We are recording, sir. Please proceed.
All right, very good, Michelle. Thank you very much. Everybody, good morning. We have an agenda that we will be following this morning. If all things goes according to plan, we will more or less remain on schedule. So with that said, I would like to call this meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. and we will start with the playing of O Canada. Very good. Thank you, everybody. We would now like to observe a moment of silence for our fallen comrades. Ernie Callow, Gary, and Pam. Thank you. Okay, we will have a series of video greetings from a number of special guests who are both in attendance and who have sent videos for us to observe today. So with that said, we will start with my video, Michelle.
Hello, good morning, and welcome, all of you, to the 79th Annual AGM and the first ever virtual AGM of the Air Cadet League of Canada Saskatchewan Provincial Committee. I would like to take this moment to acknowledge that Saskatchewan is on the traditional lands referred to as Treaties 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, and all the people here are beneficiaries of this peace and friendship treaty. These treaty territories encompass the traditional territories of numerous First Nations, including Cree, Dene, Nakota, Saulteaux, and Ojibwe, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We are dedicated to ensuring that the spirit of reconciliation and that all the treaties are honored and respected. This acknowledgement also reaffirms our relationship with one another. My heartfelt appreciation to the AGM committee and our technology expert, Michelle Gounet, who has graciously stepped up to assist in the successful delivery of our virtual AGM today. A special thanks to Michelle for assisting me in the development of this video. It is not as easy as it looks. Michelle, thank you. Your efforts are greatly appreciated. We have several special guests in attendance today. Welcome to Michelle Gounet, our partners in uniform, Lieutenant Colonel Denis Letellier, Lieutenant Commander Alan Can, and Major Blaine Bevan. Thank you for your attendance and participation in today's event. Additionally, I want to extend my appreciation and welcome to our League partners, the Saskatchewan Aviation Museum, Mitchinson Flying School, and the Saskatchewan Aviation Council. Thank you. Finally, in recognition of the need to develop relationships with the communities and where we are located, I am pleased to introduce Krista Leboucan from Indigenous Awareness Canada with a special presentation titled Breaking Myths and Misconceptions at 1 p.m. this afternoon. Thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge with us. Finally, thank you for the honor and privilege of leading this program as chairperson for the last 2 years. The experiences have helped me grow as a leader, and I will be forever appreciative of everything and everyone that I've met. Thank you. Enjoy today's events.
That's video number 1. Moving on, we have greetings from our National Executive Member, Sue Madden.
Good morning. Greetings to all of you gathered online for the 2020 Saskatchewan AGM. My name is Sue Madden, and I am the National Treasurer and a National Vice President with the Air Cadet League of Canada. I'm happy to be here with you today on behalf of our National President, Mr. Jim Hunter, where I will share with you later on in the agenda many of the items that the National Office and the Board of Governors will be focusing on during this coming year. I must tell you that I, and I'm sure everyone else that was planning on attending the National AGM in Saskatoon this past June, were very disappointed that we had to cancel our travel plans due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I have never been to Saskatoon. I was so looking forward to exploring your city and meeting you all. But we needed to ensure the safety of all of our members and decided to stay home and do a virtual meeting instead. I'm now looking forward to June 2022, where we are now planning our visit to Saskatoon for our National AGM. I look forward to meeting you all in person at that time, when this pandemic will hopefully be behind us and we can get back to a normal way of life. Thank you for having me here today, and I will share more details with you soon.
Very good. Thank you, Sue, and we look forward to you coming to visit us here in Saskatoon. We will ensure that you have a grand time when we do see you in 2022. Next, we will be having a live greeting from Lieutenant Colonel Denny Letellier, our RCSU commander. And I'm just looking for Denny in the list here, and I don't see them. Michelle, are you able to actually promote him?
He should be making his way up soon.
Okay, very good.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, how about visual? Do you have video?
We can see you, sir.
Excellent, fantastic. So good morning, Mr. Deswich, members of the Air Cadet Leagues, volunteers. On behalf of the Cadet Junior Canadian Rangers Commander, Commodore Jose Kurtz, thank you for the opportunity to address your organization this morning. 2020 has proven to be challenging, and I want to thank you for your continued commitment to the success of the program. You are an integral part of its success. This partnership between DND and the Air Cadet League is extremely important during this pandemic. Leveraging the new Memorandum of Understanding, collaboration will ensure the cadet program is rejuvenated, modernized to meet the new challenges while focusing on retention and safety. I want to sincerely congratulate David Deswich for his successful tenure as a chairperson. I enjoy the continued communications between the two of us. I'm looking forward to our continued partnership with the new chair, and I expect that it's going to be Mr. Gary Gehring. So looking forward to continue our relationship. Just want to say greetings to everybody, and have a great 79th AGM.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And it's been a pleasure working with you these last few years also. We've had a couple of good conversations, to say the least. All right, very good. Next, we have video greetings from Dan Glass with Mitchinson Aviation.
Greetings to the Saskatchewan Air Cadet League from Mitchinson Flight Center. My name is Dan Glass. I'm the president of Mitchinson. I'd like to welcome you all to Saskatoon virtually. I know there was plans to have an in-person convention, but of course COVID-19 has gotten in the way of all of that. It had an effect on us this year at Mitchinson. We lost about a month and a half of flying, but it's come back quite well actually, and we have a lot of flying going on. Lots of students enrolled in ground school, so it's promising, and hopefully it continues through the winter. Mitchinson has a long history working with the Air Cadets. Right back to our founding father, Harold Mitchinson, who was an instructor in World War II, and right afterwards he came out and started Mitchinson Flight Center in 1946 and owned it right up through the 70s. Janet Kime took it over and ran it for about 30 years, and she's still a fixture around the place. Myself and some business partners took it over about 7 years ago and have been operating it since. We had the Air Cadet Power Program for 3 years. It was a great success. We really enjoyed working with the young people involved with the Air Cadets, and a couple of success stories from it, all success stories, but one or two of them that have impacted us locally here at the school. One of our instructors, Matt Cinnamon, is an instructor for us, and he came through the program. So it's a great return to the aviation industry for anything that goes through the Air Cadets. We look forward to continuing to work with the Air Cadet League into the future. I think there's a lot of potential there, and it's a great place for schools and airlines and others in the aviation industry to go to find people that are already bitten by the aviation bug. We look forward to seeing you folks again soon. Enjoy the conference.
And very good. And a special thank you to Dan for sending us that video. Our partnership with Mitchinson has been long-standing, and we hope to enhance that relationship and grow it even further. Next, we have video greetings from the Saskatchewan Aviation Museum.
My name is Doran Wallace. I'm the president of the Saskatchewan Aviation Museum and Learning Center, which is Saskatchewan's one and only aviation museum. I have been here since the inauguration of this museum, and my background actually started back when I was in grade 12. I obtained my private pilot's license through Air Cadets, and as a result I wound up spending a career in the aviation field. In the end, I had an ATR, which is an airline transport rating, and an engineer's license. And I spent 40 years in the business in Saskatchewan and Northern Canada. Our museum is only 2 years old, and I have been in here since the inauguration of this. And at this point in time, we would like to welcome members of your organization and make it be known to you at this point in time that we have you in our plans. Down the road, we hope to make some sort of inroads with a partnership with the Air Cadet League that is going to be beneficial not only to you, but to the Aviation Museum. I think there's a great partnership that can be had here, and we're looking forward to that.
Very good. And Doran, thank you very much for your video greeting today. And yes, we do intend on expanding our relationship with the Saskatchewan Aviation Museum. I think it's a fantastic partnership, and I look forward to everything that we can gather from this relationship. So again, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's events. Thank you to all of our attendees today. I appreciate you getting up early on a Saturday morning to participate in this event for us. It is our first AGM that we are hosting virtually. A little bit of a different format than some of you may be familiar with. And for that, we owe our thanks and gratitude to our tech expert, Michel Gounet. We've had a few conversations in a few hours via video chat the last few days. And I know Michel has been awake late, so I'm hoping that he gets a chance for a well-deserved nap sometime in the next couple of days. Moving on, I just wanted to comment that I sent out a text message via the chat box there. Some rules of order for today. Everybody will be muted except for our panelists, who will be brought forward when it is time for them to actually present their report. If you have any technical support questions, in assistance, please contact Brian. His information has been disseminated already. You can also use the Q&A box below, and somebody will reach out to you directly. Raise your hand so we know that you're having some issues and need some assistance. If you have any questions of the panelists or of the report writers, again, please raise your hand and address the question to the report writer or to the panelist using the Q&A box. That way we can keep track of them and see what is going on. I wanted to comment briefly in regards to COVID-19. As I mentioned in my video greeting, the conclusion of my term as chair for the Air Cadet League in Saskatchewan here has not been what I would say satisfactory. This last 6-8 months has been very surreal. We've heard that term before. I personally find I feel it's disappointing. And I have a feeling of incompletion. Like I was unable to complete my task, my role. I really wanted to do more, and COVID-19 prevented that. And I just feel the need to apologize for that. I do realize that it's beyond my control, but that's how I feel. And I thought I would share that with you folks. I'm sure many others feel the same. In review of our agenda for today, everybody received a AGM link. We have a special page that is dedicated, and all our reports are available online. If you are unable to access those reports, or if you would like a downloaded copy, again, Q&A box, and we'll ensure that something like that is able to be sent to you. I just want to make sure that everybody's had the opportunity to review the report. Sorry about that, guys. The dog's always going to bark when you don't want him to. That's the nature of the game. So again, moving on here, please review the agenda. Please review the reports. If you have any questions, message us and we will make sure that we get those questions answered for you. Voting instructions. All of the reports will be motioned for acceptance at the end of our report session today. We ask that somebody second those reports by raising your hand and by making sure your name is notified in the chat box, and we will unmute you so that you can actually acknowledge that for the video greeting, or sorry, for the video recording. All right, now we have the minutes from 2019's AGM are attached in the agenda there. If you have any questions about those, again, please reach out. And now I do believe that it is time to introduce our D&D friends, Major Bevan and Lieutenant Commander Alan Can. Bear with me here while I switch things around. I seem to be having some mouse issues here. I cannot move my mouse. Michelle, are you able to promote Denny and Alan? Oh, we also have some Q&A here.
Don't you mean Alan and Blaine?
Yes, that's right.
I'm just doing that for you.
Okay, I'm still having issues here. I don't know why. Oh, okay, my mouse is moving again.
Well, it looks like I have been promoted. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here, or thank you for allowing me to be here. I am only here to drink your coffee all day. Actually, I guess it's my coffee, isn't it? At any rate, I'm here to answer questions, but I'm going to let Major Bevan take the lion's share of the time given to us. But I did want to mention that we had our CEO's conference 2 weeks ago. And at that conference, I was able to acknowledge a very special presentation made on behalf of the Canadian Forces partner. And that was to Gerald Ottman at Camp SKACL. We gave him the Award of Excellence, the Command Team Award of Excellence, signed by Lieutenant Colonel Letellier. And I'll read the citation. The certificate is already on the way to Gerald. But I did want to mention specifically that Mr. Gerald Ottman consistently provides service that goes beyond the normal scope of his duties and responsibilities as the camp custodian or the caretaker at SKACL. His dedication to the program and to the camp is evident in his tireless work ethic and quality of service he provides to the Corps and squadron. Mr. Ottman is integral to the success of the biathlon program in Saskatchewan through the countless hours he spends clearing and grooming the trails and repairing the targets, repairing and setting targets. In the same way, he assists in the management, repair, and control of D&D assets held on behalf of the Cadet Support Supply Group Regina. He shows the same commitment to the care and maintenance of the facilities he is responsible for and assists with fundraising activities in support of the camp. He's also very engaged in major renovations, such as the recent washroom upgrades. Mr. Ottman is a trusted partner to the work of the cadet program in Saskatchewan and is more than worthy of recognition. Bravo Zulu. So, Gerald. I'm going to turn it over to Major Bevan, my liaison with the Air Cadet League in Saskatchewan, and he can talk.
Thank you, sir. So everyone should have received my report that was put out, and I'm just adjusting something here. There we go. And so it's pretty straightforward. I'll touch briefly on what's in there, and then I will move on to a couple other points I want to raise. So beginning, normally at your meetings for the Air Cadet League, I provide you with statistics. That's going to be very difficult over the near future and probably the rest of this training year, given that any statistics I could provide would be likely inaccurate and also not a true reflection of growth or strength in our program. And I think that's given the fact that each squadron is having to deal with how they're approaching training virtually or in person based on their community and also based on public health measures. So I look forward to the day when we can get back to that because I think they were important, but for now, unfortunately, they're not going to be too helpful. I want to speak briefly about summer training. Obviously, in-person summer training was canceled this past summer for very clear reasons. However, it was a very quick pivot and it was very impressive, I think, that we went from a program that really did nothing virtually to being able to run 22 different courses throughout the summer and engage 10,000 cadets. Certainly that's a low number compared to what we normally do in person, but for a program that wasn't doing virtual training until required to, I think that we were able to. Now, that's not to say that all the virtual training went perfectly and there weren't issues, because there were. As with any growing pain, that happens. But I think that we saw some engagement of cadets and retention of cadets through that. Of course, our flying training was not able to occur this summer due to COVID-19. And there was an offering for power pilot training course cadets to do online ground school, and a number of them took advantage of that. As well, the Glider Pilot Scholarship and Power Pilot Scholarship have been renamed to accurately reflect that they are not scholarships, but they are training courses. So they're now the Glider Pilot Training Course, or GPTC, and Power Pilot Training Course, or PPTC. As discussed, in-person training, we've got 34 squadrons in Saskatchewan and 27 have been approved for in-person training. However, some that have been approved are not necessarily back to in-person training because we're still sorting out the ability for them to use their building. For example, all of the units that are in Naval Reserve buildings are not able to go back yet, and that's due to the Naval Reserve's rules with regards to their buildings. So we're still working through that, and I know that RCSU is advocating on our behalf and Formation is advocating on our behalf to get into those buildings for the cadets, but it's just a matter of making sure all the orders line up and everyone's copacetic on it. In terms of training that our squadrons are doing at the local level, I just want to diverge here a bit from my report. It is generally a mix of virtual and in person, and now we have the ability, just released in the past couple weeks, virtual content that was from the summer training centers is being provided to squadrons for their own training use. So some of the courses that were provided this summer that only a handful of cadets in each squadron might have been able to experience is now being available for the use of cadets or of our local squadrons. And of course, the focus has shifted this year from being a program that does as prescribed amount of training and with certain expectations and goals. They've shifted to focusing on a safe, fun, and engaging program without a real strictness of training EOs and POs being met. And obviously, that's just because of the lack of ability that some units are going to have and the unfairness it would create if standards were held to like they were in the past. There's also been release for squadrons of master lesson plans for all of the lessons in the program. So that'll be useful for them. That's some of the, I think, output from the summer training and some of the work that we had senior cadets and officers doing. Yeah, the next thing I wanted to talk about was regionally directed activities. So these would be like marksmanship, biathlon, music. Those are on hold for in-person until January of 2021. And there's going to be some changes to how marksmanship and biathlon are going to be conducted this training year. Basically, there's no multi-unit activities planned for obvious reasons. The expectation is that marksmanship and biathlon will be administered at the local level by squadron staff. So marksmanship, which we've done in the past, usually starts with a mail-in competition, and that'll continue. And biathlon, they're still working on the logistics of it, but it's going to be split between a running course and then a shooting course, and an overall time being created. So there'll be more information coming out to the squadrons on that. But suffice it to say, we don't know what. I don't expect for those two programs that there will be any in-person happening for this training year. At present, the planning is for it to all be distanced or not multi-unit. I suppose I shouldn't say, when I say in-person, obviously squadrons will be doing it in person themselves, like the marksmanship. But I guess I mean there won't be any gatherings in terms of multi-units getting together. Music clinics, at present, we have an order that no music training is to occur in person. So we're doing virtual music clinics and level testing, and the warning order for the first music level testing just came out, and it's going to be in December. So squadrons are getting that information and getting cadets ready for their music level testing. Fundraising, as you know, and I know it's near and dear to this program's heart, there's no in-person fundraising approved at this time. That's not expected to change in the near future, but we are getting further orders in November, and there may be some change that I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but for now, the focus is on virtual fundraising where available. Remembrance Day. No in-person Remembrance Day ceremonies are approved at this time. So if cadets or officers wish to participate in Remembrance Day ceremonies, it's to be virtual participation if they wish to do it in uniform. And that's just it has to do, I think, with just the number of different situations that could occur, the amounts of approval that would have to occur, and it's simply, when we look at the risk versus the reward, there are going to be a lot of opportunities for virtual ceremonies and virtual participation, and we're encouraging our staff and cadets to take those. With regards to potential conflict, I wanted to talk about in my report, it's just that, you know, people are stressed out. People are having a difficulty with coping with the stresses of living in a pandemic and adapting to many changes. And I noted that prior to COVID, we had a number of squadrons where there was a lot of interpersonal conflict, and almost always in all of our fact finding, it seemed to stem, other than maybe a few cases, it seemed to stem from poor communication practices, where people might be rather sending a snippy text as opposed to picking up the phone and having a phone call, or having an in-person conversation. Of course, in-person conversations are harder now, and we're relying more on technology. But the point I want to make is that where these conflicts seem to be arising, I think it's important that we let the actors in those conflicts work it out with help. So if that means, you know, if I have a CO who comes to me and talks about issues with their SSC, I'm going to ask them, well, how have you talked to them? And if all I get is text messages and emails, I'm going to say, you need to set up a Zoom meeting and have a chat with them face to face, or you need to do it over the phone, or you need to do a socially distanced coffee, or you know, stand outside with your masks on or something. Like, you need to do something to have a conversation and have a connection. And I think that's one of the, that's what we were telling staff before. And the reason I bring that up is I know for some of the league directors we have had, and similar with some of our zone training officers, where they really get into the nitty gritty. They take that problem and they make it their own. And I know that the focus of our area team is to tell people to give the actors the tools to deal with those conflicts and just guide them. Because making that problem my problem isn't necessarily going to solve it in the way that those people need. It might just solve it the way that I want to solve it. So, and I expect that as people become more fatigued throughout this, that that's only going to become more prevalent. So I just wanted to raise it to make sure that we're keeping that in mind. I do want to just make a comment. I know that there was a note about Captain Saxby's passing. A few things about Gary. You know, he's going to be sorely missed. He was, well, I remember when I was a cadet, Gary was always at biathlon and marksmanship activities, and he was not a very large man. Like, he was quite short in stature, but he always seemed to fill up a room and be able to get people interested and motivated, and always had a good story to tell. He had 42 years in the cadet program, which is an extremely long amount of time. He dedicated a huge chunk of his life to it. He's going to leave a big hole in both experience and knowledge. And I know that for those of us working in the CIC world, Gary's going to be sorely missed. He was a great man and a great officer to work with. Speaking of people that I'm going to miss too, I'm going to miss working with Dave. Dave's been a really great chairperson to work with, level-headed, and just someone that I'm happy to consider a friend. And I think that he's done a great service to the Air Cadet League in his measured leadership, and I know that he'll continue to assist and guide the new executive as it goes forward. And I look forward to working with Gary and Curtis, and of course look forward to working with Richard, which I've looked forward to for, I don't know, the past 30 years. So I guess it'll continue for another 30 or so. So those are my comments. Thank you for inviting myself and Lieutenant Commander Can today to come and report to you. I know that, you know, I think the leveled criticism could be that I've said a lot without saying too much. And unfortunately, we just have a lot of questions. We have a lot of we don't knows yet. And we're all just working through this together. But I'm looking forward to working through it with the Air Cadet League in Saskatchewan, and working with our partners as we figure out how best to keep this program going and how to make it adapt to the changes we need to. I'm available now for questions, either to myself or Lieutenant Commander Can. And I see that There's a question there from Brian Zinchuk. I'm going to pop it up here. Let me just adjust my screen so I can see that. Our hall is rated for a maximum of 800 people. The Court of Queen's Bench recently rented it for use up to 150 people. I understand due to D&D rules, we can't have more than 30 in the building. Is there any way this can be adjusted? The court can space out 150 people. We should be able to have 45 to 60 people in the building at once. All right, thank you, Brian. One thing to keep in mind is that the public health measures, specifically in Saskatchewan, have classed different organizations as different levels of priority, if I could say that. Since the beginning of this pandemic, courts have been considered exempt from a number of public health measures because they're considered essential services. The operation of courts in the province and law in the province is considered an essential service. So the court can and is permitted to do things like that, to use 150 people at a time to do a jury selection. So it's important to consider, though, that it's not due to D&D rules that you can't have more than 30 in the building. That's a provincial public health measure that we're following. And our orders from national require us to follow the provincial public health measures. So what we do in Saskatchewan might be different than what's happening in Alberta, but that's because Alberta's rules might be different. So I guess, I mean, unfortunately, different organizations will have different rules that apply to them. And the court, for example, is one of them. But one thing to keep in mind is that Court of Queen's Bench might be, you know, selecting 150 people, but they're not holding court with those jurors in their own courthouse. Like even in the big courtrooms, I've run a couple trials since COVID. For bigger cases, we're not running them in courthouses. We're running them in hotel ballrooms where people can be spaced out. Even if they could make everybody wear a mask, there's not room to physically space. So I appreciate your frustration with that, but we've got these public health measures we have to abide by. Lieutenant Commander Can, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, given that you're on the coalface of the approval of those. But that, and yes, I see the follow up there. So this is provincial, not D&D. So D&D has mandated through the tasking order that every squadron and corps in seeking approval must follow public health measures, and the province's public health measure for gatherings that are not in a certain exempt category, which cadets is not, is 30 persons. And so we have to follow that. And I know Lieutenant Commander Can, if he has anything to add, he might on that because he does the approvals. So I'll turn it over to him.
One of the keys that we're going to have to watch through this year is that this is going to flex. We all see some alarming raise in active cases in Saskatchewan, and you won't see a nationwide shutdown again of the cadet program, and that's why we're tying it, and that's why the use of the term asymmetrical is being used. Is that I expect that perhaps, you know, and this is purely an example at this point, but like there's been a big outbreak in Prince Albert. In the future, I can see things happening where the province says, all right, group size in Prince Albert is now at 15. And so the corps and squadrons are going to have to be able to adjust quickly to those changes in the provincial or the public health measures. Just yesterday, Manitoba changed their northern Manitoba, and I'm responsible for Flin Flon and the Pas. And Flin Flon and the Pas have been shut down now. They had permission to do in-person training up to in Manitoba it was 50. The province of Manitoba has reduced it to groups of 5, and so we've shut down in-person training for 2 weeks. That'll be reviewed as we go along. And I've told the commanding officers of the corps and squadrons in my area that I expect them to make wise decisions, and that if there's an outbreak in the community and you feel the squadron CO feels that it's prudent to shut down for 2 weeks and go back to virtual training, then they should do that. And that's something that's really important for all of us to understand, is that right now it's 30, tomorrow it could be 10. It could be 50 tomorrow. And we will adapt and change as those provincial health or public health measures are adjusted in the province.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander Can. I saw a little box that said time's up very aggressively, Michelle. So I'm guessing that's telling me to stop talking. I don't know if there's any other questions. I don't have any raised hands or Q&A or chats. I guess that if there are other questions, you know, in my report, there might not be contact info in my report, but, and I apologize for that, but I think most people by now would know how to get a hold of me. And if not, I know that they can reach out to David or Richard, and he can get in touch with me if there's some questions. So thank you again. And if there's nothing else, I think I can be demoted back to simple attendee.
We won't do that to you just yet there, Blaine. On a personal note, Blaine and Alan, thank you very much for the, I consider it to be mentorship over the last number of years. I recall Alan and I butted heads briefly in the beginning of my tenure in regards to chain of command, I believe it was, Alan. And I can say that your calm demeanor, and Al, you can get a little hot under the collar sometimes, as can I. But I think that is why we have connected. And Blaine, the same for you. I've enjoyed our conversations with both of you. The mentorship, the guidance have helped me actually see beyond the role of Air Cadet League and the importance of the partnership that we have with our D&D partners in uniform. And so for that, I'm grateful. I know I will never look at a porcupine the same way after our drive. Now I see them, and I think of that drive and that fateful night for that poor porcupine. But that is something that we'll keep between us. So, gentlemen, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I'm not going anywhere, so you're not done with me yet.
Thank you.
Okay. So now, Michelle, if you wouldn't mind, please demote the gentleman. Okay. So again, thank you very much. Mr. Zinchuk, thank you for your questions. Always detailed as usual. I've come to expect that from you, Brian. Moving on here. Next, I would like to invite Sue Madden, who is the National Treasurer Vice President from the National Executive, to say a few words. Give us a few minutes while we bring her up. This was much easier when there wasn't so many people on our trial practice runs here. Oh, there you are, Sue. I see you. All right. Oh, I clicked on something wrong here. Actually, maybe if I can get Michelle, if you would mind promoting Sue. I seem to be having difficulty here with my mouse again. It's just frozen.
There we go. Can you hear me? Oh, hold on. There we are.
There we go. Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Sue, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. So thank you everyone for inviting me here today and allowing me to speak with you. On behalf of our president, Mr. Jim Hunter, Jim sends out sit reps almost every week on what's happening with the program and our direction and partnership with the CAF and how it all works with training for cadets, and as well as our provincial and local level interactions And as you can imagine, for Jim, it's been a very challenging year. However, the Board of Governors is still working, and my points that I'm going to talk to you about today are what the national committees have been working on and will focus on for this coming year. So the first piece that I want to talk to you about is our CAF partnership. And as I think Jim had mentioned in one of his sit reps, is that a new MOU with our CAF partners was signed in June of 2020. It's a much higher level document than what the previous MOU was in 2005. It does identify what our shared responsibilities are, and these represent what we as a league need to deliver to the CAF. What it doesn't include is the league aviation contract. That's currently under review, and there is a special committee, which I'll talk about a little later on for that. And the next piece that has to be arranged with for the MOU is called a collaborative framework. It's under development, and it will establish how we're going to communicate and work together as partners. So there's more to come on that, as that's still in the works. The other piece concerning the CAF and the league is the Review Services Management Action Plan. So for those of you who don't know, the Review Services is an internal audit organization within D&D. And they conducted an evaluation of the cadet program in 2019. And I'm sure many of you participated in that through surveys, as we did surveys, or they conducted surveys at all levels of the league, from local SSCs up to our national directors and executive responses. So there have been a list of recommendations for change and improvement that's been produced, and now a management action plan will soon be approved to address what those recommendations are. So that's also in the works. So the next piece is some of our, of course, we have national committees that a lot of you would have at your provincial level. So I'm going to go through all of our committees and just give you a few points on some of their focus for this coming year is. So you've heard the terms affiliation agreement. That was a point of discussion. David, I'm sure you worked through a lot of that in your 2 years of tenure as the PC chair. So of course, all of those were signed with every provincial and territorial committee and the national level of the league at the SAM last year, 2019. These agreements, of course, establish the responsibilities for ACL national and the provincial and territorial committees. So the next step now, of course, is led by our Governor John Nolan. We must put in place now the links now between your provincial committee and your local SSCs. So John will be leading that initiative and helping that happen. Province by province, some of the terminology will be different based on provincial legislation, but the goal here is to have an affiliation agreement set up between the provincial and territorial committees and every SSC, so that everyone understands their roles and responsibilities and can work within that framework. So that's going on. When it comes to the strategic plan, that was led by Jackie Pepper-Journal, and the final version of the ACL strategic plan has been updated, and we actually voted and approved that plan just last week at our national board meeting. It should be posted, if it's not already posted, on the national website by the end of October. So you should be able to see it there. The plan, if you go through it, the plan features 6 goals, major goals, and then each goal has a number of objectives for various national committees over the next 3 years. So take a look at that and see what where the league has decided its direction has to be going forward in the short term. The other committee that's been working very hard is our Risk Management Committee. That one is led by our governor, or our past national chairman, Ron Ilko. So they've developed and deployed an excellent risk management framework for the National League. And we thank you for your strong ongoing participation and involvement by the PC coordinators over this last year. So over the past summer, there's been a variety of optional tools that were provided, and great work was done in developing mitigations for risks to the SSC operations that have been posed by COVID-19. So going forward for 2020-2021 year, there'll be no risk assessments done in 2020. SSCs are just busy trying to figure out if they can even get together and have facilities to train in, let alone do risk assessments. So that's not going to be a requirement this year. Ron's team will be focused on improving communications to members on the risk tools and processes. They're going to develop a change management process to assist in the transition to using those risk tools. And they're going to develop a risk questionnaire for national committees and provincial committees to be able to use to evaluate risk. The Policies and Bylaws Committee that is headed up by Russell Gallant and his team, their focus for the coming year is the review and updates of the PPM, the National PPM. National PPM is one of those documents that over the years, as things get added and changed, hasn't really kept a formal format. So that is one of the big goals. The PPM is going to be reorganized this year so that there's a clear distinction between policy and procedure. If you read the PPM right now, it's all mixed up. So that's one of their big goals. Existing policies will be reviewed and validated, and new policies will be added where necessary. So that's in the works as well. Screening and registration, Marc Lacroix heads up that committee, assisted by Pierre at National Office. So screening and registration policy and procedures have been reviewed and validated. They are migrating the data to a national secure database that has begun and will be completed over the coming year. All current and past paper files will be digitized and uploaded to the National Office server. The current plan is to not have to retain paper copies. However, they are seeking legal opinion about this to confirm whether they are truly not required. So don't shred any paper just yet. The Nominations Committee, that's headed up by past National Chair Craig Hawkins. His mandate is his and his team is to provide an annual slate of candidates that meets the needs identified by the National President and the Board of Governors. The slate is presented at the AGM for a vote by the members. His committee will undertake the following tasks for the current year. They're going to review and update our internal survey forms. They're going to identify new platforms to recruit volunteers for the National Board. They're going to revise the interview process they currently use when interviewing potential board members, and develop and implement an exit interview process for individuals who leave the board to see if there's any, there's always room for improvement. So let's find out why people leave the board. The next committee is the Honors and Awards Committee. That's chaired by Guy Albert. So they did a recent survey of members, and some of you may have answered this survey, that indicated that members are generally happy with the awards process and the awards themselves. The process and the awards will be reviewed throughout the year based on results of the survey. And a new certificate of volunteer service has been created. We reviewed that at our last board meeting, and it looks like it's going to go forward, and that will be rolled out to you by Guy and his team in due course. The next committee is the Scholarships Committee. That one is headed up by Gilles Courrier. So this year, they received 120 applications for 16 academic scholarships. 9 of them, of those 16 scholarships, were regular educational scholarships, and 7 of them were flying, typically they were flying awards that sponsors agreed to reassign as academic scholarships, since there was no flying scholarships to give out, as there was no flying over the summer. So because there was no flying scholarships, we saw a significant reduction in the amount, in the number and the value of the awards and scholarships that was given out. And we have a concern that further reductions will occur in 2021, again, due to the pandemic and reduced activities in the flying area. So we're going to have to put some effort for positive engagement with our industry partners. Many of our partners that were funding those scholarships were are based in the aviation industry. As we all know, the aviation industry has taken a big hit with the pandemic, and some of them have indicated they cannot support the scholarships they used to and the awards. So we have to do some work there, and we'll be looking at that. The next committee is our music committee. As we know, unfortunately, we had the untimely passing of Howard Marr earlier this year. The music committee has a new chair, Michael Rahill, and he needs your support. So the music committee needs representation from all the provinces in order to get going on the new plan for music. And he is going to have some different direction than Howard did. So he's going to start again. He's going to determine the new strategic direction for the committee. He's going to review what the existing policies are. He's going to review the criteria and the process for a national competition. And there's many other items he has on his list. But in order to get this done, he needs representation from everyone. So I'm not sure if you have a representation from the Saskatchewan committee. If not, he's very much asking for a representative from your province to join the music committee. The next one is the IACE committee. That is chaired by Doug Slowski. And as we all know, 2020 IACE trips did not happen due to the pandemic. And at this point in time, we are not committing any international travel for 2021, has not been authorized. However, we are going to be asking the CAF if the selection process can take place should conditions on the pandemic change, that we would be ready with cadets to be able to travel should the situation change. So we're going to ask that happen in the selections process in the early spring, so that we have cadets should the need arise. Talking about selections committee, as we know, the process for selections changed this year when we were selecting for our senior courses. As of 2020, the CAF took the lead, the national lead on national selections. Unlike the other two leagues, the ACL still wishes to remain very engaged in the design and execution of the national selections process. And the National Selections Committee, now chaired by Roch LeBlanc, they got feedback from all provinces to understand some of the pain points and some of the difficulties and lessons learned from the selections process that did take place this year. That report was put together and submitted to the commander, but we have not received any indication yet if any of these recommendations will be implemented on the next selections round. So we're still waiting on that. A decision in the way ahead of the power pilot training course and the glider pilot training course will be made in November. We're waiting to hear on that, whether they're going to be selecting candidates for that, should glider and power training courses be allowed to occur next summer. So again, we're waiting to hear that news from the CAF side. The next committee is the members committee. That is chaired by Christian Stump. Provincial territorial committees and SSCs were surveyed early in 2020 to obtain input and feedback on member training requirements. Based on the responses received, the committee has determined the following priorities for this coming year. The basic duties and responsibilities of the SSC, so we're going to focus on that, documenting that and standardizing it, and update and usability of the ACC9. And again, that national committee requires support from all provincial and territorial committees in order to make this happen. So please make sure you have a representative from your PC to be on part of that committee. Communications committee is chaired by Tom Sand, and this committee again requires representation from all provincial and territorial committees in order to fulfill its mandate. Its focus will be to finalize the development of a strategic communications plan, to create support plans as required, to update their policies if required, and to complete a crisis communications plan. Effective speaking, again, as we didn't have a national in-person AGM, we did not have, for the first year ever, a national effective speaking competition. But Raquel Lincoln, who chairs the committee, has gotten together a committee of 14 past effective speaking champions, so prior cadets who won the competition, and they have formed a plan to conduct and train for a virtual effective speaking competition for next year. We also know virtual effective communication training was introduced this past summer through the CAF summer training and will be part of the core training for 2020-2021, and the committee will support the CAF as required in this endeavor. Now my committee, the Finance Committee, the budget that we passed in June at the National AGM has been since amended, was approved by the board in September. This budget had previous expenses that were listed reduced, such as having a virtual SAM in 2020 and 2021. And I can tell you now, in case you haven't already heard, the AGM in 2021 will also be virtual. So you don't have to budget for travel for that one. We just wanted to make sure that everything for the pandemic was over. So we have amended our budget to reflect these reductions. The national office, as you've also been communicated, has reduced its staff levels to cut expenses. And one of the mandates I'm working on is to increase our reserves to the maximum extent possible. We need to have money put aside for a rainy day. We know it can happen. It's happening now. So as much as we've reduced expenses, we are trying to increase our rainy day reserve so that we have money should the time come next year where we don't get the same income levels as we do today. CRA compliance, we're still, Ernie Weisner is still heading up that initiative for us as a member at large. He has done a lot of work to create organizational structures for all SSCs that are compliant with the Income Tax Act. That's still ongoing. However, the process has slowed significantly because CRA people are working from home, and we are now told it's 4 to 6 month delay in any basic response from CRA. So that's still, though, an initiative we're moving forward. Many of you received instructions and emails about that new ACC9 template that was presented at the SAM last November. We have received from a few committees some concerns regarding the new template. Its size, it's a very large file, it's hard to email, there was a few glitches. And so we were re-looking at that with the design, the person who designed it, and we will have some direction and guidance shortly on that. For now, the old ACC9 template is still available and can be used. The Resource Generation Committee, headed up by Don Barrow, are offsetting new initiatives to, are exploring new initiatives to offset our loss of revenue at the national level. Some of the things they're looking at doing, of course, we have our letter writing campaign we do every year, and that typically brings us in a big chunk of money. However, we're not sure what kind of financial resources people have during the pandemic. That may have been cut back, so we are expecting less donations as a result of that. So some of the other things they're working on is increased marketing and items in the kit shop. They are working on a national virtual fundraising event. The details are still being worked out, and they're going to give us more details as that shapes up. And as mentioned about the awards and scholarship opportunities, that's going to be another focus for that team. The Air Cadet Committee, headed up by Kevin Robinson, again, requires provincial and territorial representation in order to fulfill its mandate. Its priority for this coming year is to improve the ability to deliver on our responsibilities to the CAF. And specifically, guidelines for volunteers will be created to provide assistance with optional training activities. And the last committee that we talk about is the Aviation Committee. Last but not least, one of the very important ones that makes up our program. So a new national steering committee that's co-chaired by the commander and our ACL president, Mr. Hunter, was created in December to provide guidance to the CAF staff and to the National Aviation Committee on all national issues, on not national aviation issues. Some of the items that are being addressed this year are including, but not limited to, the CAF study on aircraft requirements, such as tow aircraft and gliders in support of the Air Cadet Flying Program. What do we have? What do we need in the future? Famil flying with the RCAF. What does that look like if we were to do that? And work on solutions for the power and glider pilot course shortfalls. What happens when courses over the summer cannot finish, as we've had happen in certain regions. So that committee is right from the top, will be addressing some of our aviation issues throughout the country. COVID-19, of course, pandemic continues to have a profound effect on our program. We will continue to work with our CAF partners to determine the way ahead. The commander's letters and FRAGOs have begun to describe allowed activities. We expect more developments to unfold as time passes, such as the power pilot training course, glider power training course announcements in November. What is clear, however, is that a resumption of normal activities is still well into the future, and we must be flexible and forward-thinking as we continue to deal with the unprecedented crisis. So that's all I have for news from national office. I'm not sure if there's some questions here. I see lots of some messages in the chat here. Are there any questions for me that I can answer? Or do we have time? I'm not sure where my time is.
We have a few minutes for questions.
Okay.
If there are any questions.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any questions, but if they pop up, Sue, we'll get them taken care of. Sue, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us this morning and participate in our AGM. I'm very excited about the Effective Speaking program. I fell in love with the program a number of years ago now when I got the opportunity to actually observe an actual national effective speaking program. And I believe that was probably in Winnipeg, which was my first one that I participated in. And you know, it's such a fantastic program. I'm really happy to see that that D&D has involved, has taken that, and we're bringing it up to a whole new level. I'm excited to see that Raquel is bringing in all the past effective speaking champions to you know, bring the program forward, and that to me is just fantastic. I'm really excited to see that. So for that initiative, thank you for that. I'm really happy to see that. And for your guidance in the ACC 9s and your report, thank you very much. It was all very well presented, and there's a lot going on, and I was trying to convey that in my report for people to see that there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Communicating that, there's only one way to do it, and I think that is basically through the experience of participating in these various committees. So we will work together as an executive for the Saskatchewan Provincial Committee to ensure that we do have a representative for as many of these committees as possible.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Sue, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you for giving me some time to speak. It's great.
No worries. Okay, I'm going to demote you down there, Sue.
Perfect.
Okay, we have a break scheduled on our agenda now. So we'll take a quick 10-minute break so all of you can refresh your coffee cups, use the facilities, and I look forward to seeing all of you back here at 10:22 a.m. Michelle, can you please start a 10-minute timer? Very good. Thank you, sir. All right, everybody. Welcome back. We will now be moving into the section of our festivities today in regards to the reports. All of the reports will be voted on at the conclusion of our opportunity here. So as we move through the reports, we'll be promoting the report writers to be able to present their video and to actually speak. Just a quick summary of their report. We don't need them to actually read the report. Those are available for you online to review. If anybody has any questions, please raise your hand, type it in the chat box or the Q&A section, whatever works more conveniently for you. So my report is the first one on the list. So I invite you to review it. It's quite lengthy. I do apologize. I was trying to summarize all of the things that I've done in the last 2 years, and I found that extremely difficult to do. There really is no easy way to write it all down. If you have any questions in that regard, I invite you to ask me at this time. I did want to recognize the dedication of my executive and Richard. Richard, I don't envy your job. We had this conversation 2 years ago when I first became the chair, and somebody said that it's difficult because you have a new boss every 2 years, and everybody that comes in has a different way of doing things, and I'm no different. I've been hard on you at times, and my only desire is just to improve the program. The executive, we have met monthly, sometimes more often than that. You've dedicated a lot of time to me, and for that I thank you. So I'll leave it at that. I think you all know how I feel, and so I'll kind of keep it short and simple. I don't really want to expand on too much. I realize I haven't really commented an awful lot about COVID-19 and how COVID has affected our programming, but it has. It's affected everybody, and everybody has somewhat of a different take on how things are going. And so I acknowledge that D&D has worked hard to ensure that there is a program for us, for our cadets to return to. All of the SSC have also reached out on their own, bit by bit, to express concerns and ask questions. And I hope we've been able to support you. We are here for you if ever you need that. That's pretty much all I'm going to say in that regard. If there are any questions to my report, I'll take them now. Okay, with that said, as I mentioned before, all reports will be voted on at the conclusion of our report section. Richard, I invite you to present your report at this time.
Again, my report is in the book, so I'm not going to read too much of it at all. What I do want to do, though, is highlight the fact that as a volunteer organization, it's the strength of our volunteers that are going to get us through this difficult time. We're fairly fortunate financially and structurally that we have the resources in place on both sides that we will weather the storm, and we will come through it. And with working together, we can come out stronger. And that's what I do want to say. For every threat, there's an opportunity. So it's time for us to continue to look for different ways of doing what we do and how we do it in order to make it work better. And I do want to personally thank Dave for our weekly calls and our 2-minute phone calls that were never 2 minutes, and they were always longer, and the texts and everything at all times of the day to make things happen. But from this position, you see the dedication and the effort required by the chairman of the league, and you put the work in to get the job done, and I think we all owe you a thank you. So from me, thank you, and I'm sure from the rest of the volunteers, thank you. With that, I will leave it. If there aren't, most of all the other reports will deal with all the important things, financial and so forth, that we need to deal with. So thank you very much.
Okay, Rich, thank you very much. We're definitely ahead of schedule here slightly. As each report writer is given approximately 10 minutes to present their findings. Short and sweet. We're going to kind of move on here. So if there's no questions for either myself or Richard, I will.
David.
Yes. Go ahead,
there
sir.
was a mention by Larry Sinnett in the Q&A. Mentioned the monthly meetings they are hosting for squadrons.
Oh, okay, very good. So you're referring to the SSC meetings that we started at the beginning of September there, I believe. And I can't speak for Gary, as Gary will be running the show moving forward here, but I do believe that is the intention to actually continue this open forum. Meetings have been and will continue to be scheduled via Google Hangouts. They don't have to be long, half hour, 45 minutes if there's lots of questions. Really, all we really want to do through those open forum meetings, and I do hope everybody's had the opportunity to participate in them. They're very similar to our area meetings, as we have broken them up into area, and now we're just kind of lumping everybody together. It's an opportunity for you to ask questions of the executive. It's an opportunity for you to express concerns and brainstorm with other SSC chairs and other SSC volunteers. Those will continue. I encourage you to keep an eye on the website, keep an eye on our league calendar. That's where those events will be scheduled. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out in that. Larry, was there anything else you wanted me to add in that regard? Okay, and Richard just advised me that we are meeting the first and second Monday and Tuesday of the month. So that's going to be a standing meeting, and we will make sure those are set up in the calendar so everybody can see. Thank you, Richard, for the reminder. Okay, so moving on here. The next report we have Curtis as part of the awards committee, and Pete with Camp SKACL. We'll start with you, Curtis. And I'll just unmute you. Bear with me here. All right, Curtis, sorry about that.
Good morning, no worries. I'd just like to thank you for all the good work you've done over the past 2 years. Start with that. And I'm going to be brief because I'd like to catch us back up. I'd also like to thank Brent for all his help for me getting these awards done. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of the points that are important. We are moving towards more of an awards situation where it matches up more with national. So we're going to try and align ourselves with national a little bit more. We have a new way of people sending in their nominations. So we've got a new website, and it's awards@skacl.ca. So that's where we'd like everybody to direct their nominations for awards. That said, we haven't had a whole lot of participation from the SSCs and from the members, and I'd like to see a little bit more of that. I'd like to see people step up more, and let's get our volunteers some recognition. Let's see. This year we're presenting 15 provincial awards as well as 20 national awards, and these will be announced at the end of the. Well, most of them are up there now, but there's 3 that aren't. Oh yeah, and we're setting it up so that you'll be able to apply for them online. So we're going to have a fillable, which should make it easier. Anything else you want to know, send me a message, or if anybody's got any questions. Otherwise, I'll just wrap it up now and you can read my report. Anything up there?
Okay, very good. Does anybody have any questions for Curtis?
Every national award we asked for, we got, right?
Okay.
Every national award that we asked for, we got, which is kind of nice. Or that we applied for, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate you jumping on board in regards to the awards category for this year. Actually, you've been doing it for a couple of years now, but thank you. Okay, if there's no questions for Curtis, I'm going to mute it. Now, do we have Pete on the call?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Let me find you, Pete, and I'm going to bring you up.
No, he's with Brent.
Oh, he's with Brent. That's right. That's right. Okay, let me find Brent.
Oh, we're not needed.
Now you are.
Good morning, everybody, and I'm Pete Carton, the SKACL chair, and I submitted my report about 2 weeks ago for the book, and I don't have anything to add other than when I look at renovations there, the bathrooms, both bathrooms are now finished. The sea cans that are up there, we talked about that at our last meeting, getting sea cans to replace the shed that was damaged, and there's an old shed on the parade square that we should put a sea can in there too. With the money, we collected about $13,000 in insurance for the wrecked shed and the cleanup costs. So that could go towards net purchasing sea cans for next year. The abseil tower, I spoke with the Army League yesterday on that, and the work is actually going to start on the abseil tower on next Tuesday. Contractor from SKACL is going in there, and the Army League is paying for the total repair cost of the abseil tower. I'd like to thank our D&D partners for nominating Gerald for that award. Well deserved. I would like to see it presented properly if we could do that. Either myself could present it at the camp, because Gerald isn't going to come to Saskatoon to get it, and we should make some sort of arrangement so that he just doesn't get it in the mail, and that we present it and shake his hand and maybe have a drink with him afterwards. He will appreciate getting that. So thank you very much for taking the time to write him up. It's well deserved. There is a picture of the male washroom there, 2 new urinals, new mirrors, sinks are all new last year. The showers are across from that. It's beautiful in there now, and completely finished and waiting for use whenever the camp has been quiet since March, and it'll be quiet for the next while. That's the location where the damaged shed was. It's been cleaned up by Gerald, and I don't know if we'll put another sea can in there or what we'll do. We'll talk about that later. So unless there's questions, I have really nothing else to say about the camp. Gerald continues to work hard, keep the place looking good. He's done a lot of tree cutting this year and will continue to do so. He's busy doing cleaning up the biathlon trail in anticipation of the winter. Not sure how much use it's going to get, but camp remains in great shape and ready to go whenever we can get cadets back in there. Thank you very much. That's my report. Any questions?
There was just one question from Nicole at 34, Pete. What happened with the damage to the shed?
The shed was damaged by a tree coming down on it, and the cleanup was done by Gerald, and it's been put into a big dugout, and the shed will be, the scrap will be burned this winter, basically. Does that answer the question?
Yes, I believe it does. Pete, Alan reminds me that Rhonda Nutshell's going up this weekend to actually present that award to Gerald. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll be there. I will also be there when that happens. So great. That's great. We can do it. We'll do it properly then, and that's good. So thanks again for that. And just one more last comment I have.
with the passing of Ernie and Gary Saxby, we lost two big supporters of Camp Saskadet, and they were very, very good people to have, because they really supported the camp. So that is a big loss. So thank you.
Very good, Pete. And Pete, you also sustained a significant loss this year, and for that, I know we've all been thinking of you over the course of the winter. Your dedication at Camp Saskadet keeps us all afloat. It's a shame that we won't get to actually showcase the new washrooms for a while yet.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Okay. If any other questions for Pete? Okay. Thank you, Pete.
You're welcome.
And I will move over to Mr. Wolf. Okay.
You want me to report? There's nothing.
Sorry, just yet, not yet there, Brent. I saw the camera move over there, so it.
Okay, yeah, no, you kind of caught me off guard here. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I'm going to put you on hold though, but I'm going to demote you back down. We're going to let Jay present his report, and then we'll come back to you. Thank you, Brent. I'm going to minimize you guys. Okay, moving on. We're going to. Always important to mute. Going to. Is it only coffee in those in those cups, guys? Gotta ask. Jay, let me find you in my list here. I'm going to bring you up.
Okay.
All right. Hello, Jay.
So, I think there's a phone there. Highlights of what we did over the year are in the report, but I'll just mention a few key things from those highlights. So over the last 2 to 3 years, a lot of resources, time and money were spent developing technologies that we use today. So that includes the website, which was released last year, the Google G Suite emails, which most of the squadrons in Saskatchewan are using, most of the SSCs, advertisements, promotions, things like that. So this year, we focused on expanding and improving those existing technologies to make it more accessible and easier to use. So that's where all of our basically time was spent this year. We also have a lot more squadrons using the @skacl.ca emails. So last year, I think the majority of squadrons were using it, and this year, the majority got even stronger. So for those that don't know, I think most people do know about them, but for the SSCs that don't know, so the Air Cadet League made email accounts for all SSCs to use through multiple positions. So there's an email for chair and direct and vice chair and things like that. And the benefit of using these emails is that all the communication is in one place. So that includes regular email plus dedicated storage for your documents, which can be shared between SSCs or within your SSC, and also the ability to have a group video call. So it's all within that one email account. And the real magic comes in when someone else is coming into the SSC as an executive, then you can just transfer that account to the next person. And then that next person would have access to your email history, your documents, and we would be able to contact that person because that email account stays the same. So it makes things easier for everyone. So I'm very happy that the majority of squadrons are using it right now. Over the summer, we also had Julie Hodges as our summer student. So she was able to help with a lot of different areas, including contacting squadrons to update our database. So that database is just tracking key things such as address and parade night info and CO, contact details, chairperson of the SSC contact details, basic things that we would want. She helped with posting on social media regularly, keeping people informed. and things like making graphics for promotional material. So she was a great help. And if you have any questions at any time, feel free to reach out to me. My email is on the report. And I think there is a question. Never mind, that's not for me. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. If not, that is my report.
All right, very good, Jay. Well-written report, very attentive to detail. You're a very dedicated director, and I have to point out that Jay is could be, and Richard, if you can clarify this, Jay, you may be the youngest director that we've ever had on our board. Yes, that is correct. Jay, you are the youngest director that we've had on our board, so thank you very much for stepping up. Now, many of you know Jay is our summer student. Jay resigned his position as summer student and readily volunteered with some assistance and encouragement from myself to step into the role of director. But that wasn't good enough for Jay. We created a new role. We have actually, Jay is our technology director. This is the first time that we've had this position. And Jay will continue to oversee the development and the implementation of our tech program, which Jay has been on the ground floor with that ever since we started that 3 or 4 years ago now. So Jay, thank you ever so much for your dedication, your devotion. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you are on that National Effective Speaking Committee that Sue was referring to earlier.
Yes, that's right.
Very good, very good. I'm happy to hear that. So Jay, thank you ever so much for your dedication. Your report is very well written as usual. And if anybody has any questions for Jay, I encourage you to ask them now, please.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no, you got a thanks from Julian. Okay, moving on. Now, I'm not sure if we have Anita Paul present today. I don't see her in the attendance list.
I did put a call out through all of chat to find out if she is with us, and I have not seen a reply just yet.
All right, very good. So Anita Paul, has she, I believe we have a report for the curling program in our list of reports. So if anybody has any questions to that, I invite you to review that. I'm going to try to pull the report up behind the scenes here so that I can ask any questions if anybody has anything. Let's see here. Okay, that's not going to work. There we go. Okay. Curling. Okay. So sadly, COVID-19 had its effect on our curling program this year. But we do have the curling dates for 2021, which at this time, we don't know if those are going to push forward. So really, it's up to COVID-19 to advise us as to what's going. The provincial curling 2020 winners are listed. Gold medal team was 186 Lloydminster. 34 Roland Groom was the silver medal team, and the bronze medal team was 675 Bow Valley. And then 2019 is also listed there. So if anybody has any questions in that regard, I invite you to send a message to Anita herself, or you can ask in the forum here, and I will see if I can get those answered for you. The next report is from Janine Apolloni, the Effective Speaking Chair. Now, Janine is not going to be continuing with us as director this year. She has stepped back for personal family reasons. So I wish Janine all the best, and thank you for your years of dedication to the program. The Effective Speaking program benefited immensely from your dedication this year. Okay, so moving on, we've got my report, which is the photo contest. I will admit that I didn't jump on the photo contest right away this year. We had the contest running pretty much for the last year. Very limited submissions this year, obviously due to COVID, the lack of training opportunities. Without those training opportunities, there's no opportunities for photos, but we did have some very creative photos that were sent in to us. So in that regard, the first to third year winner Michelle, is titled An Informative Class by Sergeant K. Chen from 702 Links. Next slide. The next one is the winner for our 4th to 7 year, and the photo did not have a title, but Warrant Officer 2nd Class Ahad, and I believe he submits photos every year, so a very avid photographer. Thank you very much. And then we did not have any adult submissions this year, so what I've done in place of that is I actually mentioned an honorable mention to Flight Corporal Abigail Lewis from 624 Tisdale, More Than Family. I thought that was just the height difference in the two cadets was, I thought that was really good. Honorable mention to them. And then finally, we have our first ever video category that was submitted to us. And so I would like to present that now. Very good. This young lady, this was again, I can't remember her name, sorry. Chen. She submitted 3 videos, and I thought they were all 3 were really good, and I would actually like to get access to all of those videos. Great promotional videos. I think that was really fantastic. So Jay, I invite you to actually reach out to this individual and talk to her. She did a really good video. I love the editing. The introduction of the music in the background also was fantastic. So congratulations to all the winners. I love doing this contest. It's a little stressful at times if I push it off too late and leave it to the last minute, like I typically do. But I enjoy looking at the photos. The creativity of the cadets really astounds me. They have a creative eye that I wish I possessed. Again, congratulations. Okay. So I won't dwell. Moving on, I would like to invite Lisa Tadgel to speak in regards to the card draw. There you are, Lisa.
Oh, good. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for everything, David. This has been probably a very difficult year for everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you so much to Richard, because without Richard, he was the one who got the card draw. He's responsible for getting the stickers out, getting everything out. I take absolutely no credit this year. It's always Richard. I'm not entirely sure this year. I know that our draw has been postponed to February, late February. I'm hoping the squadrons use this as their major fundraiser. As the kids aren't allowed to sell tickets, I'm looking for very inventive ways of people to distribute their tickets. Nipawin has got various businesses in town setting up draw boxes at stores, which, because they've lost a huge ticket seller with the trade show being canceled. We're very interested in inventive ways. Shoot me an email, a phone call. If you have any ways of getting the tickets out there. Do you have anything, David?
I personally do not, Lisa, but maybe we'll get Richard to actually just summarize for us when the actual draw will be and any restrictions that we may have in regards to the car raffle draw. Richard, if you don't mind.
28th of February.
All right, very good, very good. And I'm just going to unmute Richard here quickly. Rich, go ahead.
Thank you, Dave and Lisa. Yes, the draw date has been moved back to February 28th, 2021. There are the only restrictions we have, and I was speaking with SLGA yesterday. The restrictions we have that people are can buy the tickets in Saskatchewan. You can sell them, you can advertise them over the phone, you can advertise them over the web and so forth, but you need to be in Saskatchewan to actually purchase them. I will also be sending a document out to the squadrons stating that on November 1st, you will actually be able to, people will be able to buy tickets directly by doing a direct deposit to our provincial league fundraising account. So for example, if somebody from Tisdale wants to buy, say, a book of tickets for $50, you can direct them to our site. They can send me the money. Once we have the money, we can then send them the ticket stubs with their names on it. We will then credit your squadron for that sale. But on this type of ticket sales, the money has to come into the provincial fundraising account for the car raffle. So it won't be able to go into the squadron accounts, but that's fine. We'll be able to account for it. So we'll be sending you the link on how to do that to help you actually sell the tickets. As mentioned by Lisa, cadets and officers are not allowed to sell, but that doesn't mean the cadets' parents can't go out and sell, or the cadet parents can't buy the tickets or take them to work or so forth. So we can still sell them through the adult system. We're just not allowed to use the cadet system. Now, the question will be up in Lloydminster. What's considered Saskatchewan? What's considered Lloydminster? Lloydminster proper, anywhere around Lloydminster, you can buy them in Saskatchewan, for Saskatchewan. That's the only, that's kind of the exception to the rule.
Okay.
Hope that clears it up.
Yeah, we'll address that briefly here. Okay, very good. Lisa, Richard, thank you very much. I know I'll be honest with everybody, biggest concern for us this year is that, as you all know, tonight is when we would be drawing the car raffle draw. That has been pushed off. So that's going to affect our overall revenue generation for not just the provincial committee, but also for all the SSCs that typically sell tickets. I know we haven't sold an awful lot of tickets. We've had tickets returned to us by many SSCs. If you have sent your tickets back and you would like them back, please reach out to Richard or Lisa directly, and we'll arrange to get them back to you. This is a fundraising opportunity for us, and we can't pass it up, even though the options for selling the tickets are somewhat limited, and the potential is not going to be as great. That is something that we are very concerned about. We're very aware of it, and we need to move forward in regards to doing what we can. So Lisa, thank you very much for your dedication. I know you are personally disappointed in COVID-19 and how it's affected us this year. Thank you for sticking with it. Thank you for reaching out as needed and addressing those questions and concerns. Your dedication as a volunteer goes a long way, and I wanted to say thank you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Lisa or Richard in regards to the car raffle draw?
There was one question put forward, one from Kathleen Osman. I think Richard answered some of it, but I'll just read it verbatim. The report for the car raffle says that cadets and officer are allowed to sell tickets. Now I heard that cadets are not allowed to sell tickets, which is the correct direction.
They're not allowed to sell at this point.
Cadets are not allowed yet. So just to be clear, cadets are not to sell tickets. Officers are not to sell tickets. This is a directive from D&D. The only people that can sell tickets are directors, SSC volunteers, parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, friends, relatives, anybody that you know that can buy a ticket or sell a ticket, those are the ones who can sell it. Cadets, no. Officers, no. Does that answer your question? Okay. Okay, if there's no more questions for the car raffle draw, I will answer the question from Kathleen in regards to the video category. Yes, K-Chen, the winner of the video category. Sorry if it wasn't clear in that regard. Okay. All right, Lisa, again, thank you. And I'm going to shut you down here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay. Moving on to the next category here, we've got the golf tournament. Again, Nita Paul is not present at our meeting today, so she's not to report, but I can advise that the golf tournament did not happen this year. We are tentatively planning for next year. Again, COVID-19 dependent. The online 50-50. Richard, would you like to just touch base in that? I left you unmuted.
As directed, we ran our first test run of the online 50-50 with the September 30th draw. We had a gentleman win $670. Again, we were testing, we're checking what was working, what didn't work. But we are now live on our second one, and we are partnering up with the Saskatchewan Aviation Museum. We are live until the end of November. I encourage you to send this link, this live link of the 50-50 to all your friends and to your contacts and stuff to support this. Portion of the proceeds will go to the Saskatchewan Aviation Museum, and the rest of it will be put into the coffers, and we are then looking at how we're going to divide it up amongst the squadrons, because we want to use a fundraiser not as a fundraiser only for the Air Cadet League of Saskatchewan, but also for the squadrons. And we are working on an equitable way to actually do that. We have an actual database for the people who sold. So every time you actually sell, we'll be able to know who bought what and from where. We get that right from the company of Echo Lottery. And then we'll figure out how we're going to divide the money up into the local areas and stuff for that to get some money back into the hands of the sellers. As mentioned, fundraising in these times are very difficult, but we have to be creative in how we do that, whether it's with the car raffle or with the online 50-50. The intent with the online 50-50 is that we'll be running one every 2 months. So that is the intent. And so keep always looking, keep checking the provincial website, and we will, but that site will never change. It's, sorry, I don't got my report up right now, but the website will never actually change. It'll always be the same website. It'll just be changing. Okay. So the SKACL 5050.ca will always be the website that people can go to buy the car raffle tickets. I mean the online 50-50 tickets. Sorry for that error. It's a good way to fundraise, and it's a way that we hope that all of you can get behind. That's all I have to say.
Short and sweet, eh, Richard? All right, very good. Yeah, so my challenge is to all of you to jump on that website today, skacl5050.ca, and buy some raffle tickets. Right now, the pot is $100.
Recall that is a static image. Since I am located in Ontario, I can't access your live website. Also, there was a question from Gary. Again, this may have been answered. Are the car raffle purchases available online yet?
We had just mentioned that as of November 1st, squadrons will be able to purchase the tickets online.
Okay. Does anybody, can somebody jump online quickly and tell me what the pot is at right now, if it's changed? Still $100, eh? Okay, thanks, Brian. All right, so I'm going to check again in about an hour's time, and I'm hoping that we have more on there. And I'm going to go on there at our next break, and I'm going to buy tickets. And I hope all of you will do the same.
And I've been asked by Donna to do her report, just for your info.
Oh, okay, very good. We were going to head in that direction next here. So, Richard, please present your report with Donna, on behalf of Donna.
Donna's report is in the book. Just a reminder, as Sue Madden mentioned, we're moving towards the full integration of putting all our data onto a database, on a national database. But as it sits right now, you'll still need to apply, as you did in the past, but now you'll need to send in a digital picture to the office at richardp@skacl.ca. We may move that into a separate, and I'll talk with Jay about that, about setting up maybe a separate link for that so that you can send those pictures directly to there. But the process still remains the same right now. And once we get fully integrated with National, you'll be receiving new cards and the whole bit. So thank you for all the hard work for the people who are out there at the squadron doing the screening. Saskatchewan has a great success screening, a great success rate screening, and it's all due to your hard work. That's from Donna. Thank you.
Yeah. And Donna, thank you very much. I recently received an envelope in the mail from our volunteer screening coordinator, so it appeared that my volunteer screening is up. Donna, I have been neglectful in getting down to the police station to get my my criminal record check. So I've received it. It's in my. I'll get to it. Stay on me though, please. That's all I can say. So thanks, Donna.
And as a reminder from Donna for the directors, if your year is coming up, start it early.
And just recently in Regina, if you want to get your criminal record check done, you have to go to the Regina Police website and book an appointment. You can't just show up anywhere. I don't know if it's that way anywhere else, but that's Regina as of Thursday.
Thanks, Curtis. Okay, if anybody has any questions for Donna? Seeing none. Okay, very good. Donna, thank you for your involvement with the volunteer screening program. It's a very challenging position to be in right now with all the changes and stuff that we are going through. I know you meet very routinely and regularly with Richard, and so for your dedication, thank you. Moving on, we're going to bring up Mr. Gary Gehring to talk about the Aviation Committee as well as the strategic planning. Gary, I'm just going to promote you here. Oh, you disappeared on me again, Michelle.
I believe I'm
there you are.
Connected.
Aha.
Let's see, I'm gonna try and get fancy here, see if this works. There we go. So my background is the award winner from last year for the photo contest. So I thought, gee, that looks pretty good. I should try that as a background. So let me start off with the Aviation Committee. I'd like to thank Dave for his leadership for the last 2 years. It was greatly appreciated. And hopefully I can fill those shoes somewhat to try and assist with moving the league forward. As far as the aviation report, my report is included in the package. We did have a D&D report from Major Bill Wolven, CD, who's the air ops for our region out of Winnipeg, and that's included as well. He sends his regrets he was unable to attend today. I will let you look at his report in that regard. A couple of the things that highlights would be a tow plane engine we had rebuilt. That's one of our fundraising initiatives, and that was done this year. As Blaine mentioned, you know, the air ops program has really been on hold now, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of impact on our cadets, some that will age out over this time, etc. And we all aren't that happy about that, but that is life right now. There's some initiatives going on nationally with D&D and the National Aviation Committee relative to our planes and the path forward. There's one thing I can say is there's a lot of change going on right now. So I like change, so we'll see how it plays out. And one of the initiatives that we had worked on in the province for the last couple of years has been reaching out to our partners, and I was happy to see our welcome videos from Mitchison and the Aviation Museum who I think will be solid partners for us moving forward with aviation opportunities. And along with the Aviation Council, which we've been attending regularly, and had attended their conference last year in Regina, Richard and I, and we had a lot of really good contacts were made there, and actually got us out in front of people, and we had many inquiries and questions from that, which I thought was great. And so we're hoping to continue that and potentially become a member of the Aviation Council ourselves. So I'm looking forward to that. We've been working on our flying scholarship change to bursary, change to awards, and we've been wanting to try and move forward with that, which is our continuation flying for our cadets. And I think given the current situation and the fact that, there won't be flying maybe till next fall, we'll be delaying that initially. And I think it's more just because we don't want to get our pilots trained with more flying hours, and then they will not be active for a number of months. So I think working with D&D, we will align the offering, so maybe it's 3 months in advance of when flying will take place. That's where we are now, and because it's a moving target, it'll be difficult to nail down. But we're excited and very happy with the progress we've made in this area. I'm just seeing, I think most of the other items on here will be in, I'll just check. Yes, so I think that would cover off my aviation report. And so I'll switch over next to the strategy committee report. So we had spent some time on last fall at or last winter, February, at Camp SKACL, and we came up with quite a few ideas and about league and our opportunities and some of our problems and that kind of thing. I would draw your attention to my report just so you can see that we did make minor changes to our mission and vision after our conversations, and those are in the report. So I'd ask you to take a look at that. Really what I've listed here are some of the main strategic priorities for the league. We have directors assigned to each one of these, and those are as well in my report. So alignment with national and our SSCs under the new affiliation agreement is being worked on. And as you've heard, our outreach and flying awards, I think that's a positive initiative that we hope to take forward. Rationalization of insurance has been worked on. That's Dave and Curtis have worked on those, along with risk management, which I think is taking a bit of a backseat right now because everyone just needs to keep their doors open. Our treasurer, Brian, has worked effortlessly on the ACC9 resources, and we appreciate his input for that. One of our new directors hopefully will be able to look at an onboarding package for our directors, which we thought was important. Our social media is continuing to move along under Jay. We would like to build our SSC online training materials so that it becomes part of an onboarding package actually for the SSC leadership. And as you can see, our digital fundraising is taking off, and we're excited about that. And using that platform as a mechanism for enhancing our partnerships in the province is also something we've looked at. So having our second draw with the Aviation Museum is important. And I think it puts both of us out there, a new organization that are highly committed and want to work with us. So we're looking forward to that relationship growing over time. And the car raffle ticket, all I can say is sell, sell, sell. We need to pay for that car. And I think that would conclude my reports for today. Thank you.
Very good, Gary. Well done as always. And Gary, I wanted to acknowledge you for your efforts with the strategic planning. This is an endeavor that we've been working on for a number of years now. Its accumulation was the February strategic planning weekend that we had. I think what impressed me the most, Gary, is by the end of that week, you were able to actually provide us with a preliminary report based on our discussions and our notes and everything that we had determined that weekend. One of the things that I've recognized is that from February till now, our priorities have changed, our goals have changed slightly, and that made me realize that the strategic plan is not something that's ever going to be fixed. It's going to be a living document, a work in process. And your challenges up till now have been obtaining involvement from our directors, from our board, from our members, and that problem continues. So I just want to put a call out there that we need engagement from all of our board of directors, and this is critical to the long-term sustainability of our program. If you don't engage us, we don't know what direction to take, and without direction, we're visionless. So Gary, thank you for your dedication to that. Okay, moving forward, if there's no questions for Gary, call for nominations. Gary, would you like to?
Oh, actually, yeah, the couple of things that I remember that I need to do here. So I'm going to make a motion that we accept all the reports as submitted up to this point, and I would also include the minutes from last year with the one amendment as noted by Sharon.
Yeah.
Thanks for catching that. And so we will correct the location for the AGM in 2018. So I'll make a motion to accept all the reports and minutes with the amendment, and just look for a seconder. Raise your hand in Zoom. Moderator will unmute you.
I'm actually not seeing any hands here.
I'm seeing some. The first person that I saw happened to be Tony. So Tony, I'm about to ask you to unmute.
And if you just please identify yourself for the recording.
Tony Cluche, Regina.
Hello, Tony from Regina.
Okay, very good. Tony is seconding that motion. I'm now going to open a poll. Please indicate your agreement or disagreement with this motion. Poll will be open for 1 minute. Okay, we have 100% participation in our poll, so I'm going to end polling right now. Okay, do we need to share? I don't believe we need to share the poll results, do we? Motion is carried. Okay, the next, so call for nominations, I think, is next.
Be Brent.
Brent, okay.
Am I there?
You're here, Brent.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. At this particular point, I'm just very quickly just going to simply, as I always do, just read the nomination report very quickly, and then we'll call for further nominations and wait for that to happen and finalize it in a half an hour's time. Basically, the nomination report is simply with our honoraries, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, Her Excellency Julie Payette, Governor General, His Honor Russell Marasti, Lieutenant Governor. The advisory board is Tony Cloutier, Jim Hunter, Larry Sinnott, David Desweg, Peter Garton, Merv Ozerny, and Brent Wolf. The portion that we have to look at for nomination and for vote would be as follows. On your executive, Gary Gehring as the new chairman, Curtis Bosefield as the new first vice chair, Brian Ludwig as treasurer, and David Deswig as past chair are appointed in there. For your board members at this particular time, and you've been watching in the right-hand corner, the blue square has been listing them off all morning, is board members to be are Gary Gehring, Donna Bagamary, Stacy Barragar, Leslie Bennett, Curtis Bosefield, Sherilyn Olafson, David Deswig, Anita Paul, Lisa Tadgell, Wayne Goldfinch, Jason Howden, Ryan Ludwig, Gord McRae, Larry Sinnott, Merv Ozerny, Carrie Ines Hodges, Rob Wilson, Brent Wolf, Tim Frank, Peter Garton, Maureen Drollett, and Jay Shea. That is who is presently on our list. If there are any further nominations, please bring those forward and we will discuss that in a half an hour's time. Thank you for this time.
Very good. Thank you, Brent. If there are any further nominations, I ask that you please raise your hand, enter that information into the chat session, and we will engage with you there. Okay, we have a time for a short break here. However, we are slightly behind. So what I would like to do actually is just have a short 2 to 3 minute break, and we will reconvene in approximately 3 minutes. So 11:26. Okay, so 11:26, just a 2 or 3 minute break, and then we will reconvene, and we will jump right in with Brian. Has several motions and several reports to present. Okay, we will reconvene. Sorry for the short break. We're just running a little short on time here. So we're going to jump right into Mr. Brian Ludwig, our treasurer.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning, everyone. I'll get right to business here. I've got a few motions and a few reports to present in a short period of time. The first item is dealing with our audit for our last year financial results. The report is listed on the main website that you were given the link to. Just a couple of highlights. We actually ended last year with a surplus of $25,863. COVID has definitely affected our finances, but we were fortunate. We were able to capitalize on some of the COVID programs. So that gave us approximately $38,000 of extra funding for last year. And we had some expense savings in meetings. We basically had about $26,000 less expenses for meetings. So we were fortunate this last year. This is where I'll just introduce the budget for next year, and then I've got two motions I'll present. In terms of our budget going forward, this is where we expect a lot of key changes to our financials. With COVID happening in March, most of our major activity had taken place already. We just lost out on some SKACL revenue and a few other things. But going forward, basically, we've got an attached budget. It's definitely going to be a work in progress because as things change, we are expecting to have to adjust our budget to respond to changes as what COVID presents to us. And some of the key highlights of our budget is essentially we've got the SKACL expenses, but we're not going to have much revenue coming in from SKACL because of the camp is more or less in stand down mode at the moment. And likewise, a big question mark is lottery revenue, the car lotteries. We don't know what's going to happen there. That's where, as Richard encouraged you, go out and sell tickets. That's a fundraiser that benefits both the provincial league and the individual squadrons at the same time. So with our proposed budget for the upcoming year, we've got a break-even budget so far, but as I mentioned, it'll depend on how things proceed. Well, what I'll do now is are there any questions, I guess, first of all, before I get to the motions, or those first two motions? Well, not seeing any questions. My first motion is to approve the audit. Just like we did before, if there's a seconder, please raise your hand.
There were a few raised hands early on. I will call on the first in the list, just alphabetic, Kathleen Osman. Wait a second, please, as I unmute. I'm not sure that Kathleen has seen the pop-up. I'll move on to Sarah Stolberg. I will be asking you to unmute. That one has failed. I see that Larry Sinnott has their mic open. Larry, if you could.
Larry Sinnott, second that motion.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, very good.
And I've just seen the chat that Sarah was unable to do so. Thank you. Let us know, Sarah.
All right, I will open the voting in regards to this. Oops. Relaunch. So do I, yeah, okay. There we go. Okay.
Dave, you've opened up poll 1 again.
Did I?
Yeah, end the poll. We've just lost all of our original vote.
Oh, okay.
Ending the poll, ladies and gentlemen. Wait a second. So just hit the drop down, select polling number 2.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Okay, we have 30 of 52 votes. Only 57% have voted.
But that's where not everyone's
Yeah,
voting
okay.
delegate.
All right, very good. Okay, I will end the polling. Thank you, everybody. We have overwhelming majority. The motion is accepted.
Okay. The next motion is the motion to approve the budget that's presented in the report section. Do we have a seconder?
If you could perhaps, if we can't get you to actually be able to jump on there, because I would like participation from the SSCs in regards to these motions. Can you please put your name and your seconding the motion in the chat box, please?
I saw Wayne Goldfinch. Just give me a second.
Okay, we got Gary Cromwell as seconded this motion. Okay. So for the records, Gary Cromwell is seconding this motion. I will now open the poll. Okay, very good. I'm now ending the polling. We have unanimous approval. Motion is passed.
Okay, and before I finish off the rest of my report, I might as well do the third motion. I move that we appoint Vertus Group, who is our current auditor, to continue being our auditor for next year's books. That's Vertus Group out of Regina.
Very good.
So I need a seconder for that.
Okay, I've got Sarah Stuhlberg as a second. I will now open the polling. All right, I'm ending the polling. Unanimous approval, motion is carried.
Thank you, everyone. Now, I just got a few final comments to wrap up my report. It's included my treasurer's report on the website. ACC 9s are now due. I received a few already. I'll be reviewing them starting next week. So be prepared for comments back, or if you had questions, I'll be responding to them starting next week. And just also keep in mind, there's other reports that are due. If you're a registered charity, you got your charity return to CRA. If you're incorporated at the moment, you have to get your filings into ISC to keep your corporation current. And if you're receiving the grant from SKACL Lotteries, you need to make sure you complete their sheet in order to keep continuing receiving your grant. That only applies to a handful of squadrons. As referred to by Sue this morning, we've been working with CRA, getting our squadrons organized. Haven't been pursuing that too much the last 6 to 7 months because of the COVID situation. But over this winter, I want to try to wrap that up so that we're fully compliant by the next training year. So I will be in contact individually with each squadron to discuss their situation. And this is regarding incorporation and a charity number, if you're not already have that. Another item that Sue mentioned was the affiliation agreement on the website that you use to get it with the reports. At the bottom, there's links to our affiliation agreement that we're tentatively looking at using. It was the same one that we introduced last year. So I'll be talking more about that to the squadrons later on. Also, I've attached the new ACC 9 report that Sue referred to. This is where feel free to download it. There's a lot of major changes and improvements that was made to it that'll help you keep your squadron finances more organized. And there's also a training manual or guide that you can download as well. In starting in November, probably in the first or second week, most likely after Remembrance Day, I'm planning to have some training sessions, online training sessions for treasurers. That's where we can talk about the ACC 9s, reporting requirements, what you need to do to get compliant with CRA and the charity branch, and any other thing financial. So watch out for that. I'll be sending out an email invitation probably sometime next week. And I will be recording them, and they will be available somewhere on the SKACL website. We haven't got the web page set up yet for it, but there will be a page set up for that. And the final comment I'll make is this is where this upcoming year, it's going to be a lot of uncertainty regarding COVID and how that's going to affect us. I encourage all the squadrons, if you have some financial issues or you expect to see some financial issues, please reach out to either Richard or myself or any other member of the executive, and we'll try our best to work with you to come up with a solution. So yeah, please contact us. We have assessment fees from last spring that are still outstanding. If your squadron needs assistance with that or need more time, again, feel free to contact us and we will work with you to come up with a solution. So I think I'm a minute or two over my 10 minutes. So I'll, unless you want an opportunity for questions, if not, you got my email. It's on the main webpage for the conference. Feel free to email me as well.
Very good, Brian. If anybody has any questions for Brian, I invite you to enter them into the chat window or the Q&A window. Brian, thank you very much for all your hard work this year. You have definitely, I remember our conversation when I first became the chair. I expressed some of my desires and how I wanted to push the program forward. You've met and exceeded all of my expectations, Brian. And for that, I extend my deepest gratitude and thanks to you.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So moving on here, I guess we're going to have our second call for nominations, and I'll just unmute you, Brent, so that you can do that. Give it a second to do to work. There we go.
Am I there?
Yes, you are, Brent.
Okay. All right. And this would be the second and final call for the nominations. Did anything further come in there? Did anybody notice that? Nothing?
Not seeing it, no.
Okay, then I so move the nomination report that is printed in the book, is on the screen. The top right-hand corner has been a running all day of who is being nominated. I make a motion to accept the nominations as presented.
Very good. And we'll be looking for a second in that regard. Please enter your name into the chat window. Raise your hand. Michelle, did you see anybody? Oh, there we go.
I do see Crystal Hawkins. One moment, Crystal.
Yep, I second the motion.
Very good. Thank you, Crystal. I will now open the polling. All right, very good. I'm going to close the polling. Motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So I believe that brings us to the conclusion of our official ceremony today. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns anybody would like to bring up in regards to the good and welfare of the league today? Okay. So again, I just want to extend my my thanks and my gratitude to the executive committee for supporting me in my role as chairperson over the last 2 years. I want to thank all of the SSC members as well as all the board of directors. Yes, and I agree, Brian, it's going to be a tough year. Thank you for your comments. One of the things that perhaps I didn't meet in my own critique is I really didn't get out to the squadrons as often as I was hoping to. I think Pete, during your term as chair, you were able to actually attend and visit almost all of the squadrons, and for that, I think that's fantastic. And I hope that we continue to push ourselves and abilities to get to all of our squadrons and connect with our SSCs. I encourage all of the SSCs to engage with us via our cloud-based Gmail platform and our Google Drive. I encourage you to reach out to your director for your squadron with any questions, comments at any time. And with that said, I would like somebody to please make an motion for adjournment today.
We've got Rob Wilson. One moment, Rob. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I second the motion.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Rob. With that call, we will adjourn today's meeting at 11:45, and we will move immediately into our awards presentation today. And as per the schedule, we're actually right on time. So I'll hand it over to you, Curtis. Thank you very much.
You're open.
All right, so national awards. First one, 15 years of service. It goes to 365 Lloyd Sparky Ament of Kindersley. 745 Porcupine Plain turns 45 this year. 797 Knights of Columbus turns 50. 703 Optimist in Regina turns 60. 601 Sir Max Aikens of Macklin turns 65, as well as 605 Cary, 606 Harvard of Priestville, 520 Meadow Lake turns 70, and 190 Nipawin turns 75. So good on them. Am I going too fast for what he's got going on there? Oh, is he? Okay, so our post-secondary scholarship this year from National goes to Josh Lippeth from Saskatoon. So good on him. Is that one $500? 1,000? Sweet. Okay, so, and here are the certificates of recognition from National this year. Bob Spracklin from 38 Anna Betts from Prince Albert. Tina Bousfield from 41 Hercules Regina. Deanna Steveno, 300 Fisher, Bigger. Ken Kobach, 542 Foam Lake. Brent Keyville, 889 Osprey, LaRange. Janine Apolloni from the board. Gary Gehring from the board. And Brian Ludwig from the board. The Medal of Honor this year goes to Brent Wolf. Congratulations, Brent. First time it's ever been awarded? Yeah, sweet. Well, that's a good one. All right, so at this time, we would like to do some squadron recognition awards. This is kind of new. It's in replacement of some other awards. First one goes to 34 Roland J. Groom in Regina. 41 Hercules Regina. Sure. Okay, next one is 300 Fisher from Bigger. 605 Terry from Swift Current. 624 Tisdale, 752 Melville, 797 Knights of Columbus, and I'm not sure where they're from, Flanagan. And these recognition awards are mainly due to the works that they've done with online stuff in regards to COVID. And now I'd like to do some certificates of appreciation. Yeah, Pete, if you'd like to do the first two. It's Dave Kinneberg and Carrie Vander Gooch for the work that they did on those washrooms that you saw pictures of earlier. Pete, did you want to speak to that at all? No? Okay. Oh, good.
Okay. With regard to Carrie and Dave, the last 2 years they spent a lot of time at Camp Saskidat working on those washrooms. Carrie's the plumber and Dave the carpenter. And without their expertise and professional work, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are now with those washrooms. So they're well deserved of this recognition. So thank you very much. And I mentioned in my Saskidat report, which went to the Navy League and the Army League also, I mentioned Carrie and Dave in that report. So the recognition is Saskatchewan wide as far as the leagues are concerned. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. So moving on, there are three people that we'd like to also note from League for a certificate of appreciation. That's Liesl Tagel. Some sort of a recognition for her has been well-deserved and long time coming. Lisa Jacobson and Larry for all the work he did on the AGM that never was. So we're holding you to the next one for 2022, Larry. Sure.
Liz Jacobson was put forward by number 606 Harvard Squadron. She is a local newspaper reporter and so forth who has done tremendous work in the community, supporting the cadet program and so forth. And they put forward her name for some recognition. And this is an example of the type of recognition we want to be able to present to all the other squadrons for people who are out there supporting the program for them.
Thank you, Richard. Now moving on to our bigger ones. The first one is the Callow Family Volunteer of the Year Award. That goes to Jacene Dickinson of 691 Hawks. She's done a lot of good works and continues to do so. Top sponsoring committee, 574 Dakota, and I don't remember who, Martinsville, but I don't remember who nominated them, but Wayne, they've done some great works too. Sure, go ahead.
574 has been, they're a fairly new squadron. They've been around for 4 or 5 years. And in that time, they've been one of the top volunteer screening squadrons in the province. With the fundraising that they have done to get the squadron up and running, the squadron has very solid finances. They have a solid leadership. For a new organization, they've been doing a tremendous amount of job. And Wayne felt that they were very deserving of the top sponsoring committee because when COVID hit, they just changed gears and ramped up what they could do. So he's very appreciative of everything they've done.
Yeah, 574 Dakota has come a very long way in a very short period of time. Now I'm moving on to Director of the Year. Now this guy has done nothing but good works for the province, for the country at national and at the local squadron level. This year, I'd like to give the Director of the Year award to Brian Ludwig. Yeah, and Dave, if you wouldn't mind speaking to that, that would be fantastic.
I can do that. As mentioned earlier, when I came on in my role as chair, I sat down with Brian. I believe it was at our actual, maybe it'd been the Friday night or the Saturday night banquet. And, you know, I told Brian, I said, you know, there are several things that we need to accomplish in the next few years. You know, the tasks that I gave him were, you know, the affiliation agreement. You know, we needed somebody to review that. We needed the ACC 9s, you know, the incorporation. There was lots of these things that were, you know, they were daunting, they were challenging, they were very, very time consuming. And so I tasked Brian with completing that over the next couple of years. Many of these projects have been completed. Many of them are still underway. But Brian went above and beyond that again. And you know, every time we asked for somebody to step up to assist with other tasks, Brian readily stepped up into those opportunities. To a fault, Brian, you know, I would like to see you say no on occasion. You're always so willing to take on these tasks that I feel occasionally we take advantage of you. So Brian, you are my right-hand man. You've guided us. You've definitely been an asset to the program. And for that, I extend my personal gratitude and the thanks of the Air Cadet League for this. And your recognition as Director of the Year comes from my heart. And I thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dave. As to the SKACL Family Award, JC, and I'm going to be contacting you soon. I'm going to need your ring size because that particular award comes with a gold ring. And now I'd like to turn it over to Gary.
Hello again, thank you. So at this time, just as we wrap up, I want to give the League's appreciation to our chair, Dave, that will be moving on. But as normally we do have a gift for Dave's work and dedication. And we all appreciated his leadership over the last 2 years. And Dave, from all of us on the executive, the SSCs and directors, thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate it. And I think there's another slide. We'll be sending you along an Air Cadet League logo on the watch, and hopefully you'll appreciate and cherish that. And again, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Gary. And that's above and beyond. I thank you.
So I think, Dave, you should wrap this up, introduce the noon hour social. Zoom's going to remain open.
Sure, we'll do. So we're right on time. You know, in fact, we're 3 minutes early. How is that for planning for today? Few hiccups along the way, but nothing to really concern ourselves about. So again, my sincere gratitude to my Michelle. Thank you very much. To the executive, thank you very much. Everybody who attended today, our D&D representatives, Sue from National, thank you for participating today. We're going to take a break. I encourage everybody to go grab a bite to eat. We're going to leave the Zoom open. Do we need to poll something?
We have just a short questionnaire poll from our meeting.
Okay, very good, very good. All right.
However, that poll will only be available at the conclusion of the entire meeting. So that's after this afternoon's event.
Okay, good. Okay, fair enough. So we're going to leave Zoom open. We're going to, your microphones will be muted. You can control them. You can turn it on and off. At 12:45, we will be having our guests from Indigenous Awareness Canada. join us to prepare for their presentation, which is at 1 o'clock. I look forward to seeing all of you there. This is an opportunity for us to answer any questions that we have in regards to reconciliation. And Saskatchewan is a very large First Nations Indigenous community, and I encourage all of us to have an open mind, open heart, and welcome our presenters when they come in. So with that said, I will close my microphone now, let everybody have some lunch. If you got any questions, let them fly, connect with old friends, and just kind of keep the conversation going here. So thank you very much, and we will see you next year. And as Michelle has pointed out, there will be a poll at the conclusion of today's event. We would like you to complete that. Give us some feedback, help us out. Every little bit of information that we get will help us move forward. So thank you very much.